It's really nice to know that you don't have to spend an insane amount of money to get a decent 7-seater crossover that offers heaps of features and tech and decent performance to boot. The question is, which one is for you? The Geely Okavango or the Chery Tiggo 8? The Okavango, Geely's latest offering. A 7-seater with boxy looks and a more conventional design. Like any Geely product, it offers features and niceties you'd come to expect in vehicles way above its price range. Then there's the Chery Tiggo 8, an SUV that's been around a little longer but still feels just as fresh. Also offering loads of features, and the cherry on top is a touch of luxury. So at a glance, both these vehicles are extremely compelling choices. But if you could only have one, which one would you pick? And these two may have a lot in common, but in this video, we're going to cover key differences to help you decide which one's for you. So let's start with the exterior. And I'm not going to cover styling because that's subjective. Just leave a comment below stating which one you think looks better, and we'll see which takes the cake there. But to make it more subjective, let's see what you get as far as exterior kit is concerned. Both will give you LED headlights with DRLs, but only the Tiggo 8 has sequential turn signals. Along the side, both vehicles have a rather conservative design, which means they should age quite well. You'll also find they both roll on 18-inch wheels and come standard with 4-wheel disc brakes. At the back, there's no shortage of goodies for either one, because both have LED tail lamps and a power tailgate. Although with the Tiggo 8, you don't even have to use your hands. In terms of cargo space, the Okavango has a slight advantage, offering 1,050 liters as opposed to the Tiggo 8's 890 liters with the third row seats folded. Folding the second row gives you 2,050 liters of space in the Okavango and 1,900 liters of space in the Tiggo 8. But regardless of which one of these you look at, that's some pretty decent cargo space. Like other Geely models, the interior of the Okavango does not disappoint. You can find enough tech and features here to satisfy almost anyone. Features include power seats for both the driver and front passenger, an electronic park brake and gear selector, various drive modes, push-button start, automatic climate control with 3 zones, a fully digital LCD cluster, a cooled storage box, and a huge infotainment system with an awesome 360 camera. This is one of the best resolutions as far as 360 cameras are concerned. In fact, I think it's class leading. The image is just so clear and spectacular. The second row of the Okavango offers heaps of versatility with its unique 3-seat configuration, which allows each occupant separate adjustability as far as reclining and moving it forwards and backwards. One drawback is the absence of a center armrest, but at least the rear passengers get separate climate controls aside from rear air vents that are also available in the third row. And speaking of the third row, the Okavango offers one of the roomiest third row seats in its class. So the Okavango is a great choice if you prioritize space over anything else. It's well designed from an ergonomic standpoint and offers heaps of features and tech. But if you're the type of person who's allergic to hard plastic, or someone who craves for fancy features such as a panoramic sunroof or ambient lighting, you may be left wanting. The Chery Tiggo 8. I've borrowed this car several times, and this interior just never gets old. It's stunning, and we should thank our lucky stars that an interior like this exists at this price point. Like the Okavango, you can expect to find heaps of tech and features in here. You also get push-button start, an electronic park brake, a drive mode selector, a cooled storage box, fully digital instrument cluster, and an adequately sized infotainment system, which also has a 360 camera. It's worth noting though, that the Okavango provides better resolution and more viewable angles. But nonetheless, this gets the job done. Other notable differences is that this only has a power adjustable seat for the driver and dual zone climate control as opposed to the 3-zone climate control system in the Okavango. So the rear passengers won't get to adjust the temperature, but the second row passengers get air vents. And unlike the Okavango, the second row seats split 60-40, so it doesn't have individual adjustability, but at least you get a center armrest with cup holders. In terms of space, the difference between both cars would be negligible for front and second row passengers, but a bit more apparent for third row occupants because the Okavango offers a bit more room. But if you want a more upscale interior, then the Tiggo 8 is definitely the one for you because the dashboard and door cards are soft touch and you get additional niceties such as heated seats, ambient lighting, and a panoramic sunroof. But the Tiggo 8's best party trick is the fact that it comes with a smartwatch, which allows you to operate the windows and start the car. So I think it's time to see how these cars drive. And since I'm in the Tiggo 8, let's start with this. The Chery Tiggo 8 is powered by a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and it produces 145 horsepower and 210 Newton meters of torque. Now that's not class leading, and it does take a while to get off the line, but once it gets going, you'll see that it builds momentum fairly quickly. Like many DCTs, this does require a fair amount of throttle input for it to get off the line. And when you're crawling in heavy traffic, it does jerk a bit. It kind of feels like you're a newbie learning how to drive a stick. But what I usually do is I just keep it on sport mode, and in heavy, hellish traffic, I pop it into manual so it stays on first gear, and in that way, it doesn't gear hunt. Steering feel on the Tiggo 8 is extremely light, but the ratio is pretty quick, especially for something this big. And that makes the car feel a lot smaller than it actually is. It also means you don't have to turn the wheel a gazillion times to make a full turn. And for me, steering is the most important factor when it comes to driving dynamics. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's the primary driver's input. When it comes to fuel economy, you can expect to get around 8 kilometers per liter when driving in the city and 15 kilometers per liter when you're out on the highway. So that's not stellar, but it's not bad either. Overall, the Chery Tiggo 8 provides what most SUV buyers want. And that's something that's extremely comfortable with good NVH and high ground clearance. Plus, it's easy to drive. And I've driven this numerous times for hours on end, and I just never get tired of it. It's a really pleasant driving experience. Now let's go see what the Geely Okavango is like. The Geely Okavango is also powered by a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. But unlike the Tiggo 8, this is a mild hybrid. So it has a 48-volt motor which works with the combustion engine to produce 190 horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque. And those are pretty decent numbers for a vehicle in this class. So it definitely feels more responsive compared to the Tiggo 8. But aside from the additional power, being a mild hybrid also means that you can expect this to be more fuel efficient. Now, we don't have the official fuel consumption figures yet, but this has exactly the same engine as the Geely Escara, and that's heavier and has a four-wheel drive system. And that can do about 8 to 13 kilometers per liter in the city and up to 20 kilometers per liter in the highway. So I expect this to be even more frugal. Like the Tiggo 8, this also has a DCT, but this is a wet type dual clutch transmission with 7 speeds. So that probably also contributes to the fuel efficiency. Now when you have this thing on eco mode, it takes a bit of effort to get it off the line. So I prefer to keep it on sport mode. And when you have it in sport mode, it is extremely responsive. When it comes to steering, the steering of the Okavango is extremely light. And that's great for when you're parking or maneuvering this thing. But the steering ratio is also pretty slow. It's not as quick as the one in the Tiggo 8. And what that leads to is it gives you the impression that you're driving something a lot bigger. And that's basically what sets the two apart as far as driving dynamics is concerned. There's the power delivery and the steering feel. Because in terms of ride comfort and NVH, the difference is quite negligible, and they both do an extremely good job. The Chery Tiggo 8 Luxury EX can be yours for 1,340,000 pesos, while the Geely Okavango can be yours for 1,328,000 pesos. And with 12,000 pesos separating these two, I really don't think price would be your deciding factor. So what will? On one hand, you have something that offers a bit more space and a more powerful yet more fuel efficient engine. And on the other hand, you have something that feels a bit more upscale, offers better steering feel, and great drivability. So it may boil down to whether you'd rather give in to your needs or your wants. But the tricky part is, regardless of which one of these you choose, there really isn't a compromise. Now, if you're still torn and undecided, I guess we should just be thankful that we have such compelling choices at such a reasonable price point.